One's gonna go crazy.
Better not. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. A vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. The vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because really got sick and tired of people who just don't get it. Yeah, I don't suffer fools lightly either. Some people get that, especially tech. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. Speaking of which, Dalan, if you're watching right now, you should really be driving instead. Stop looking at your phone while you're driving. Cut that shit out.
He's only 5 minutes from the airport. He's probably home by now.
Yeah, it probably is. We'll see what happens anytime. Meantime, first off, welcome. I am your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble all over the place. S-H-U-J-I-N. Find me easily pretty much everywhere under that. Yeah, minor update with who's all with us. I'll kind of explain that in a couple moments. Just north of the border of me into Canada, from the place in Ontario where, oh my God, they're throwing all kinds of shade all over the place.
Don't remind me.
Hi, Heretic Woman.
Hello.
So, are you planning on trading out your car for a new one?
No.
Maybe something other than a Ford?
I drive a Mazda, thankfully.
Yeah, she's not an American. She doesn't buy a new car every year.
My husband, on the other hand, needs to get himself a new truck.
Some people get where I'm going with this. Some people are not Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll don't worry. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Midwest of the U.S. Good evening, Brigid.
Good evening.
Yeah, I gotta ask you about something on air shortly. Something that I mentioned over in the Facebook group, so you should already know about this one. And just outside of, oh my God, did he actually get home in time for his nap and nightly call with what's his butt from that TV show? Hi, UnrenownedTech.
Hi.
That's it. Nothing.
What, were you expecting me to say something stupid or silly or self-depreciating?
No, actually.
He's just wearing a poop hat on his head, that's all.
I got poop on my head?
Yep.
A little bit.
Bit of a pile with googly eyes.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
You know, Tech, if you really need to go along with that hat, I've got something for you.
That'll get. Hey, listen, if I really wanted to start a movement, I'd eat a prune.
You want to be in pictures. You know, pain in my butt. You are. See, is how things are going. I completely forgot to try to set up all of my on-screen stuff. So, just on a whim, let's see. Will the bottom third show up this week? Click. No.
That'd be a no.
No, that's a big old freaking no, man. All right, whatever. So in any case, real quick, Dalan was making his way back from Oklahoma because he was doing business down there. So good on you. Joey has been a little bit on the busy side, shuttling people around, so we may not have him. Joseph, well, don't know, and that's okay. With the way things go,
making coffee.
It's possible. It's entirely possible he's just sleeping.
Martha Stewart style.
Fine. And
well, his light's on, but I don't know. Oh, wait, no, it just went off. Damn it. No, well, the light just went. Oh, and it came back. I don't know what he's doing.
You know what? Don't worry about it. And well, and on top of everything else, well, Chris is just pissant. He really, you know, you should really just get up super early and be with us again. You know, you paid me. Yeah, really.
Like. So what about this work thing? Like,
yeah,
just, you know,
social life. What the, you know,
how
what the
hard
hell,
is it get up? Is it to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and come talk?
It beats, you know, I don't know. It beats the hell out of me. Anyway, so for those of you that are joining us live, of course, of which there are a couple of you, thank you very much. Please feel free to take advantage of the live chat system. I don't remember. I used to remember.
You can pop it out and put it anywhere on your screen.
Yes, and for me, it's on the right side of my screen. I don't know if that's the right side of the screen for you people.
Well, it's on my left.
It's on my right, on my right screen. I've got two screens. One's right in front of me. The other one's it's straight in front of me. The other one's on the left. What?
One there and one on each side.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that because I've still got some leftover 24 by 768s, and I've still got ports open on my video cards.
Once you go 3 screens, you never go back to one, man.
Yeah, you and Callie, you size queens, you man. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
know.
It's gonna be the whatever. So
anyway, she doesn't even do video much, so
she does a lot of other stuff. You roller skating babe. That's a
yes.
Anyway, for those of you that are live at the moment, thank you very much. Stephanie, hi. Trippin', good to see you. And right now, that's about it. Heretic Woman knows exactly I felt when the results of the EU referendum came out. Boy, don't you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's,
I'm running out of, I'm like, where can I move to? Like, Denmark? I don't speak Danish though. Not very good with Finnish either.
Well, if you don't have to start, you don't. If you don't start, you don't have to finish.
There is that.
Move to Iceland. Yeah. I hear they got renewable energy going on over there.
I thought about Iceland, but the whole ice part really discouraged me.
No. You forget. Iceland is the one that's green. Greenland is the one that's covered in ice.
That's covered in ice. I realize that. Right. But they are way the hell up there.
All right, fine. Then just do it the easy way. This way you don't have to
get rid of it too cold in southern Ontario.
Stop, cut it out. All right, look. If you want to go ahead and do it the easiest way, where you don't have to screw around with changing out money, go to Nunavut. Because there is a theory that states that the Earth is actually donut-shaped. You'll be closer to the hole in the Earth from the North to the South Poles, where in the middle of all that, there is a star keeping everything warm. So,
I see.
There you go.
Okay, well, I may have to find somebody that lives in Nunavut and see. Oh, Stephanie says that most Danes speak good English. All right. I'm good with that.
All right.
I'm pale and pasty enough to pass for somewhat.
Don't forget, if you mention that you're Canadian and not American, they'll give you a better benefit of the doubt.
Oh, definitely. And if I tell them I absolutely did not vote for Ford, that should help too. Like, what is wrong with you, Ontario? God.
I believe I can easily quote someone that I know.
Not enough porn.
That's a whole other thing. I'm pretty sure that I can quote somebody from Ontario properly without too much of paraphrasing. I believe it was, to all of you that voted for Rob Ford, fuck you. I'm pretty sure that we know the same person.
I think so. I think we do. Yes.
I think we know the same person. So
I think it was signed sincerely me.
it very well could have been. And for the record, I did not vote for Harper. I did not vote for either Ford. I am a very responsible voter. Okay.
And I knew better. Of course you did. And the fact that you couldn't doesn't really factor into it.
Details. So, because it's the last one that's left in my current 6-pack of beers, tonight it is 12 Gates Coffee Porter. This is the last one that's left. So we will be trying that one out.
By the way, I found out today that Doug Ford does not even have post-secondary education.
At all?
He's running
of any?
At all. None. He has a high school diploma. High school diploma.
Okay. Let's be fair.
Which is great for many, many, many careers. I don't think running the province is one of them.
Okay. Now let's be fair about this. I too have only, I will use the quote unquote only, a high school diploma. Admittedly, I have 3 semesters of college, and that's it. Now
that's more than him.
Okay, to be fair, do I think that I am the end-all, be-all, know-all of everything? No, I am smart enough to know that I don't know a hell of a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I know about, but my biggest thing, and I've always told this to my little one also, it is far and away more important to know where to get the answers than to think that you have the answers yourselves anytime.
Yeah, he has a little problem with that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of. Actually, I don't think he's got any little problems at all. Have you seen his girth?
Yes.
He is not a small man.
No. And also he has no actual stated plans for anything that he promised.
Yep.
Like none at all. Well, and we don't even know how he's going to do this dollar beer stuff, which I think that right there got him every redneck and college student in the province right there.
Yeah, everybody watching Letterkenny right there. So speaking of beer,
there you go. Because we don't even have beer at convenience stores right now. You can't. You have to go to the beer store to buy beer. Except they've just started allowing.
That's not really that weird. In Virginia, which was I resided in there for a time, if you want hard liquor, you've got to go to an ABC store.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go to the grocery store or 7-Eleven.
We have the Liquor Licensing Control Board of Ontario, the LCBO. And now we've just started being able to buy some beer at grocery stores, like only within the last 8 months or so. So for him to say dollar beer at the convenience store, that was just like every beer lover in the freaking province just went, oh, well, I'll vote for him.
Yeah. We got a question over in the live chat. Yep. I'll get to that in a second. The top of the can on this one is saying full flavored handcrafted beer, and it did say coffee porter. I got no coffee taste, and as far as to it being full flavored, yeah, there's a lot of bitter in all of this, and this is getting very close. Wow. Oh, that is not okay. I got a really late taste off of that, and that is not appealing at all. Yeah, so I've gotten about 4 sips into that. Yeah, that's beer, and I don't think I'm finishing that one either. Wow, that is a really weird. Wow.
Why do you keep buying stuff that has coffee in it? Why not just go for a beer?
No, I've tried several beers. It's just a matter of I went looking for just randomized, just looking for something different.
I gotcha.
Anyway, yeah. Are the election machines connected online?
Well, we only started using any kind of election quote machine at this election. We are pencil and paper people. They used small netbooks to hold the database of available of people registered to vote, and then they used a tabulator machine to actually count the votes. I don't like it. I was very uncomfortable with the whole thing. I really, really, really prefer the pencil and paper. So they did have backups in case there were any issues with either system, that like if they couldn't get the database to find somebody or something, there was paper available as well. But
good.
Yeah. So I was a poll clerk in our 2015 federal election, and that was 100% pencil and paper. And I much prefer that. It's a tiny bit slower. We had it all counted within half an hour of the poll closing. You know, and there are very strict rules on how it's counted and, you know, how you balance out the numbers to make sure that you've counted correctly and all of that. So, yeah, much more comfortable with that. But we still can't one of my local friends had posted on Facebook, can we blame the Russians for this? Like, probably not.
Maybe we'll deal with that one afterwards because
you're more than welcome to try.
Yeah, because it's, you know what, that's a piece for later. We'll most assuredly cover some stuff later.
And Stephanie, that's exactly why she says pen and paper is a lot harder to forge, which is exactly why I'm much more comfortable with that.
Yeah, and as someone for whom at one point one of the states in this country went ahead and said, "Sure, you know what? The best way of deciding which candidate gets your vote is with a giant hole punching machine in the paper."
Oh yeah,
right.
Hanging Chads.
Yeah, the name Chad has still not gotten any better in the last almost 20 years.
Well, and it's actually gotten worse thanks to the incels, but that's a whole other.
That's definitely a different thing. Anyway, and who said it? Yeah, Stephanie said it. Don't be a martyr, just bin the muck. Yeah, I think I probably will. I will try another sip in a little while after it's had some time to warm up, see if it changes anything. I doubt it, but at the same time, I'm willing to try and see what happens.
You said it was bitter. Would it help if you dumped some sugar in there?
Considering the lasagna that I made for today, I should talk about that.
Ooh, lasagna.
Yeah, semi homemade. The sauce. When I remember, folks, if you're going to make really good tomato sauce, your secret ingredient is always
tomatoes,
sugar.
Yes.
Yep, but that's a thing for.
I'll give you. I'll lend out a secret. When I'm making my taco blend of sauce and meat and peppers and such and that, for the sweet aspect of it, I don't put in regular sugar. I use real maple syrup.
Yes, but maple syrup is not something that you can typically find in Italy.
Right. But it's the way I make it. And people are always asking me, that's really good. What did you do to it? Little of this, little of that.
Yep. And the secret ingredient in my Japanese curry, pineapples. But that's a whole other thing for later. We'll discuss culinary stuff another time because
pineapple rice.
Yeah, we'll deal with all that later. Anyway, let me go ahead and get everything rolling. We may get Dalan. I don't know, probably not. But
I'm thinking if he hasn't shown up by now, he's probably like bleh, wanting to.
I'm already halfway to bleh.
You know, I could try calling him.
You could.
Nah.
I could try call it. Well, I've only got his business phone number though, so it'd probably freak him out.
Yeah,
probably get his
boss. His work was calling him. Yeah,
that would be bad. There are certain levels of dicketry I will not cross. Right now, that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
This time, we'll do that later. Anyway, let me go ahead and get everything rolling because we kind of need to do that for change. So. With 5 minutes on the clock. Oh, this is going to be all kinds of fun. The 5-minute freestyle is actually dedicated to Callie. Starts right now. So I labeled this one Worf's Paradox. Now, if you had been reading the information for the episode in the show notes, I put a link to a clip from Star Trek Next Generation. Basically, it comes down to this. Q, the omnipotent, who can do anything he wants at, well, the snap of a finger or not, as the case may be. No, he's not part of the Marvel Cinematic. Well, actually, there was a crossover with Star Trek and Marvel. So, yeah, I guess. All right, maybe he is just a really pissed off and not purple-skinned. Anyway, so Q has his powers taken away from him. And he decided that where he wanted to spend his punishment time was with the crew of the Enterprise, with Jean-Luc Picard and company, because they were the closest thing to a friend he had. That doesn't say much. But then he finally blows up and basically yells and says, I am a completely mortal individual. What can I prove to you that I am honest and truly exactly what I claim to be? And Worf. It is not Woof. It is Worf, madam. Worf, from the tactical railing with his arms crossed over his chest, simply announces the answer to the question of how can Q prove that he is actually mortal? Die. It's a simple answer. And it would be a simple way of proving the validity. Why did I choose that this time? Not simply because of the humor that's involved, but in the simplicity of the answer. It was a very clear answer. It was brilliant, with only one small flaw. Yes, you can prove that you are mortal by dying, but the problem is after that, well, yeah, that kind of leaves a small problem of what do you do after that? Other than stink up the place when your anus releases its tension. That's not a good day for anybody around you. By the way, just so you know. The biggest problem of it all is once you've proven your assertion, what then? See, this is the problem that we end up having with people when we discuss a topic. As skeptics, we want to go ahead and we want to have the answer to, can you prove whatever it is that you're saying? And inevitably, when we're dealing with people who say, we have a God, it could be a Hulk, it doesn't matter. If you say, I have blank in my corner, okay, can you prove it? You run into the problem, the paradox of yes or no. And don't give me any of this bullshit about, well, you're trying to force me into a binary answer, because the answer is either can you prove it? Yes. Can you prove it? No. Can you prove it? Well, squash like grape. Some people get that reference. Can you prove it? That should be a deal breaker right there. Anytime you're dealing with something, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's about theology or about anything else. If you set down a marker and say this, anybody should be able to say, can you prove it? And you should be able to say yes. Because anything other than is a problem. Can you prove it? Can you prove that you're mortal? Yes. But I'm not going to, because that would be me being dead. But you will have proved it. I have God on my side. I have a God, and this is a real God. Can you prove it? Well, I could, but yeah, anything after yeah, but is bullshit. Just remember that. So if you want to go ahead and set down a line in the sand, you best be ready to go ahead and back it up. But remember, where you put that line in the sand could be a really bad spot. Because if you have to prove that you're mortal, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to have a bad day. Everybody else cleaning up after you, however, is. It's episode 214 on the docket, Your Honor. And yes, I actually did double check to make sure that I got the right numbers again. Extra. Now, I had somebody who pointed out to me, and I talked about this on Jake Four Wharton's show recently, episode 456, 457 actually. You figure that out later. There was another news report where guys had come out and said, we have a new test that can detect bits of genetic material, genetic markers in the bloodstream or a blood draw that can detect cancer maybe a decade ahead of any symptoms. All well and good. And I'm all for it, as you guys know full well, because I'm wearing the hat again, because right for Roswell. But if there's one thing that I've learned over the years of being, in the revenge business as far as cancer is concerned, anytime there's a headline like this, I really have to temper it with what hasn't been said or what's being overpresented instead of actually explaining it correctly and putting it into correct context. Because, headlines sell. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about the other ones that have come up over the years because there's always some new headline that's trying to sell you on stuff. Heretic Woman, I don't have any new news this week on Rafe Badawi, which, as usual, we know full well is going to be more the norm than anything else, other than, again, Ontario went ahead and said, yes, he's honorary citizen. But that was last week specifically, wasn't it?
That was Montreal, too, which is even kind of smaller, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be a citizen of Ontario. I'd stay in Quebec if I was him. Well, if he got here.
Could, the point of it is there's still more and more groundswell,
for bolster. Sure. For sure. All the time. Yeah.
But at the moment, of course, as we know full well, otherwise nothing new to report. I said it before. That's unfortunately going to be far more the norm. As much as we hate it. The whole hurry up and wait. As of the recording of tonight's show, then, that puts us currently at 5 years, 11 months, and 23 days since Rafe Badawi was unjustly incarcerated for thought crimes. Our hopes and our thoughts are still with you. We're still waiting for you. We're still hoping. And I'm having a really hard time realizing that it's almost 6 years.
Yeah.
It is almost 6 years.
Yep. Pathetic.
Yeah. If there is any one shining silver lining to the whole damn thing, he has only received 50 lashes.
Yes.
That is the only good side of it all.
Yes, for sure.
And yeah, we will, we're still hoping.
On a lighter note, though, not to do with Rafe, but you may know that your guy in charge was in Quebec this past weekend for the G6+1 summit. Yep. And there was a bit of tension with him and Trudeau over the whole metal tariffs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Did you know Trudeau gave him a present?
No.
The really firm handshake that was caught on camera?
No. Not yet. Don't leave the bit yet, because that's somebody else. But go ahead. Yeah. What
he gave Trump a lovely framed photo of the establishment that Trump's grandfather used to run in Quebec during Prohibition. Except he wasn't selling just booze.
It was a cat house.
It was a brothel.
Okay.
It's called old money for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh? Here you go.
Nice.
And apparently, or as my Toronto friend likes to call him, Orangina, didn't know that that's what it was.
Okay, then.
Oh, hey, Beth is watching. Howdy.
Yes.
Hi,
Hi, hon.
Yes, and yeah, and then after the whole summit was over, you know, Trump agreed to whatever all the other leaders agreed to. And then as soon as somebody gave him a phone to tweet from, he said, "Oh, guess what? Trudeau's a weenie, and I'm mad because of the tariffs, and I'm not going to endorse anything. Screw you."
And of course, did Trump claim that Canada attacked the United States at one point?
Yep. Oh yes, that was even better. That was even better. So Trudeau and him had a phone call, and they say it got a little heated, and Trudeau's like, "How the hell can you say that we're a threat to your national security? Because that's the loophole that Trump is using to raise tariffs on all of his allies." And Trump responded with, "Well, didn't you burn down the White House in the War of 1812?" Which really was...
Wait, what?
1812. Yeah. Canada didn't exist until 1867. So that was the British. Although we do have a tendency to take credit for that because some of the same people did end up being Canadian at some point, but you know, semantics, it was the British. And even funnier is the fact that even though it was still the War of 1812 when that happened, it was like 1814. So yeah.
This is another piece of all that. If Trump really wants to be worried about the power, shall we say, of the Canadian military. No. I submit to you a story that was told to me by a Canadian military person.
Mm-hmm.
Please look up the story of the Battle of Vimy Ridge.
We kicked ass.
You most certainly did. Let me put it to you really quickly. If memory serves, it was wait a second, was it World War I or II? Shoot, I'm forgetting.
Two.
Okay.
The
Germans held Vimy Ridge. The Americans tried to storm it. Didn't happen. The Brits and a couple of other guys tried and didn't get it. And the Canadians, who were kind of poo-pooed at the time, basically said, "Oh,
we're wrong. It's the First World War. My bad."
Oh, okay. But it's still the same kind of groupings. The French tried, and they didn't happen. So the Canadians basically said, "Could we have a go? I mean, anybody else want to have a go?" And kids, go right ahead, kids. Don't hurt yourselves too much. And they fucking stormed the castle and took Vimy Ridge and put up there and basically said, "Yeah, and
there you go. You wanted this thing? There you got it."
Got it. Yep.
And by the way, did you know also, now I'm not sure the name of the battle, but we also kicked ass in Holland during World War II, and to the point where they actually have a tulip festival in honor of Canada and send us hundreds of thousands of tulips every year in gratitude to this day. So yeah, we get laughed at because we don't spend inordinate amounts of money on our military. And yes, the Seahawks are a big joke. I get it. But I've heard from many people that have served and that have served with Canadian people that our training is ridiculously good.
Yep.
And we don't necessarily need millions of dollars of military weaponry to achieve our goals. I'm just saying.
Yep. And I've spoken with a couple of guys in Canadian military currently active, and I will not say anything further than that. I will, however, say that as far as to training, yes, they've absolutely concurred that the concentration is on excellent and above superiorly excellent, well-trained people, as opposed to just throwing Zerg numbers at them.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Now, the other piece of that, because Tech was kind of leaning on that, there's a very now very memeified and famous photo, and Brigid, you better be on your on game for this one.
Okay.
Emmanuel Macron, the president of Macron from France, went ahead and had a handshake, and I call it that very loosely because it was it was the claw.
The claw.
Yeah. So short version, the picture of the handshake and the immediately following handshake shows the color of Mr. Trump's very tiny emasculated hands show an indentation, a difference in color in the skin. Now, some have said that it was basically a death grip getting one up on him, which, for those of you that remember those flexy things for your hand, would love for that to have been the case. But there are other people who have said that something like that is an indication of possible medical problems. Now, some people, to kind of put you along on this one, Brigid, one of the items was the possibility of being dehydrated.
Well, he does have trouble sipping water from a bottle. Even after he made fun of other people for having the same problem.
Yeah.
The guy looks like he's... The last time he tried to sip the water out of a bottle, it was like, dude, look, are you going to, like, give that bottle a blowjob, or are you going to drink some water from it? It's like, seriously, you don't make love to it on camera unless you're being paid extra for that.
I particularly like this picture where it looks like Macron is winking at everyone.
I kind of like how it looks like he's winking and Trump's going, "Oh, it hurts.
Yeah,
It's hurting me. Can we start a war with them too, like Kim Jong-un?"
Yep.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. So Brigid, putting tension on the skin and then having it not very quickly return back to its original color. There are certain medical problems that could be indicative of, if memory serves, right?
Lack of humanity.
I mean, it looks like a case of edema to me. There's something called pitting edema, where if you push the skin in for a few seconds, it doesn't pop back, and the tissue around it looks kind of reddish, and the indentation can look kind of yellowish, and that's what looks like is going on to me.
Now, let's be sure that we're upfront. Don't take medical advice from a podcast.
I think it's too many cheeseburgers and French fries myself.
Yeah, so loosely translated, it could be that Macron went ahead and put the claw on him. It could be that our president
diet of Big Macs is not good.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. So
could be he has some bloating from sodium.
It could be from how many? Has anybody been keeping track of how many fillet of fishes he's had today? I mean, you guys do have fillet of fish up there in Quebec.
We do,
right?
yes. Okay. That would be le filet de poisson.
Of course, it would be.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
They're in Quebec.
Guy is used to using his hands for grabbing somebody by the pussy. He probably doesn't have the strength necessary for a firm handshake.
Well, I don't know if you can see in this picture, but it right about where my... Yeah, it was the thumbprint left in the top of his hand.
Yeah, and on the bottom of his hand, the curled over fingers were indented there too. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, looking at it, I really kind of wonder if it wasn't completely just claw. Wait a minute.
I think it's both.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
You could see
Fine,
from
whatever,
Nickel's
whatever.
Here. Fine. Look. Go ahead. Count. I shut some before we went on, too.
Wait, is that Pornhub?
No, I don't think.
Oh, RedTube, got it.
Right.
No, I don't listen to or watch RedTube.
Wait a minute.
YouTube.
You've got 9 YouTube videos open on your. God.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How's it not crashing?
6. Good point.
I got a shit ton of memory in this puppy.
Yeah, that'll do too. All
I
right.
can run all that plus Spreaker and XSplit and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
She's got all the gigawatts.
Yeah,
I does.
Would do that. And Trippin's got an interesting idea. He went for the pressure points.
Ooh, that would have been even better.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. And again, reprefacing as don't take medical advice from a podcast. So I'm gonna pitch this over to the medical expert in the group. So Brigid, really quickly, if Macron was going to go for a chi point that we would typically otherwise expect to be used with, like what is that human needle point thing called again?
Acupuncture.
Acupuncture. There we go.
Needle point.
I set that up intentionally. Okay, so would there be anything wrong with using slightly larger needles on the skin? I'm thinking specifically of I don't know, using a pneumatically powered nail gun to put them in. Is there anything wrong with that necessarily?
3-inch spikes. Hey, look, here's a chakra point.
You know what? I kind of wish that provincial premiers normally met foreign dignitaries, which they don't unless they're coming to their province. But, I would love to see that look on Ford's face. Like, Monsieur Macron,
Yeah.
Monsieur Ford, enchanté.
Well, it's just too bad that he didn't break any carpal bones or phalanges or anything like that. It's just too bad.
Yeah, there were some people who were saying that would have been friggin' amazing if he had met somebody who was into rock climbing. Oh, crushed his hand like a grip. Okay, so they would have been
declared a traitor to the state, even if they weren't American, and he would have had them anything contrary to the point would have been fake news, and then he would have had them locked up in Gitmo and said, "What a wonderful time people are doing down there."
Okay, so apparently a shell shucker would have probably had the power in his hand normally anyway. Some people understand what that is. The rest of you got dirty minds. And it's also come to my attention that trying to do acupuncture with a nail gun runs the risk of infection, which I did not think about. So, okay, I'll leave that off the table.
What if you run the nails through an autoclave first?
That'd be okay. Unless they're dirt on the skin, then
All you have to do is heat them up to about 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and they'll be sterile.
But then you're going to risk breakage, though.
And they'll go in faster.
Exactly. They'll melt through and cauterize the wound.
Last chance of infection.
But they could break, though. It weakens them.
Yeah, that could be.
So you tone down the compressor.
Yeah, no, that's just don't take. Don't
take medical advice for a podcast.
No. Don't take construction advice from a podcast. So there's a new one right there. Because anybody that needs to be hit together with a clue by 4, I'm pretty sure that we can supply one.
Yeah.
So
so 1,500 degrees is a little high. Stephanie's like, yeah, it'll make the metal soft. So I don't know, 1,000.
Yeah, but beer fuel doesn't get that hot.
Just till they get pink. Just till they get a bit.
I'd still go with the autoclave option.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot easier to work with.
You could always like dip them in morphine or something, but
yeah, you could, but yeah, that's addictive stuff, and we don't want to go ahead and use that. So, unless you can get morphine over the counter and you know what? No, we're talking on this side, so we'll leave that.
He could just sprinkle it on his filet de poisson.
Moving along. Okay, so all right, so like I was saying earlier. No, it's not warmed up enough yet. So we'll go a little bit longer. All right. So, like I was saying, headlines as far as to especially medical stuff over the years. Yeah, there's always going to be something new that's going to come out that says we've got this great new thing and it's exactly what we've been looking for. And 2 weeks later, finally, I don't like to say mainstream media, but the more visible media, who's got the largest voices. NPR, ABC, CBS, CNBC, CBC, IRQ, PDF, I don't know, whatever the hell. And they eventually get around to saying, okay, this new treatment option has been coming along, this new detection system is coming along. However, it is in blah state, and it's being used on blah in order to figure it out, and it seems to be good, and human trials will be possibly forthcoming Q4, stuff like that to temper what it actually is. And we've heard these things time and time and time again, because over and over, I mean, I have a lot of people who are looking out for me and go ahead and say, hey, have you seen whatever the new one is? And the one that tends to come up a lot, because it keeps making the rounds, is the one where they say, we're finding ways of tricking the body's own immune system to target cancer cells, which is an exceedingly difficult thing because cancer cells are still cells from the body, and they're not necessarily seen as foreign agents, even though they're kind of are. They're the zombie apocalypse happening, and well, you don't want to shoot your own. You don't want to shoot Fluffy after he's been bitten, and you don't want to put a bullet in his brain because, I mean, it's Fluffy. He's fine still. He just wants to play.
Well, some of it does actually seem to help considerably. There are some newer drugs like Opdivo and Keytruda and things like that do work as, immune system stimulants that are used in chemotherapy now. And they use the T cells to target certain, I don't know if you want to call it, like a lock and key mechanism on some types of cancer. There are specific types that it works on, but it's starting to be covered by insurance because it has shown medical evidence of being effective. It doesn't cure it, but it will slow it down a lot.
Yeah, but
it's expensive as hell.
Yes. Yeah. Now, the one in particular, okay, backtracking just a second. The lock and key system is much less metaphor than one might think. Cancer is cancer, air quotes, cancer is an umbrella term for a lot of different types of I don't want to call it an ailment, and I don't want to call it a disease. It's a genetic mutation that happens in various bodies, and it happens in almost all living creatures, to the best of my knowledge. There are versions of cancer that happen in trees. Let that sink in for a couple of seconds while I'm kind of gathering things for a second. But the idea of a lock and key system for treatments is far less metaphor than reality, because everyone's genetics is slightly different, and there are so many different locations where cancer can begin. There are certain things that are the same from version to version, from person to person, but then there are other pieces that are different because everybody's genetics are slightly different. So finding that one key for that one lock is not an easy thing, as I've talked about before. Avastin worked on my wife's cancer. We found out, unfortunately, too late, but it worked like screw it. I'll drop another F-bomb. I don't care. It worked like fucking gangbusters, but we found out too late. And you know, I've said it before. Had we had that a year in advance, might still have her today, but there's no way of going back and really figuring that part out. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that this takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. And where for my wife's cancer, Avastin worked, maybe not so much on the next person, but at least it's as I've said on many other occasions, is a stepping stone towards maybe something that will end up working. Now, the T-cell thing is a piece that has, like I said, has popped up from time to time. People keep pointing me to it because they know full well I'm the revenge business. Mm-hmm. But we still end up having to deal with, does it work? Yes.
Well, it depends on the type of cancer, and that's where genetic testing comes in. And if you have these certain receptors, then it will be approved for those uses. If you don't have those certain receptors, then insurance says it's not medically necessary, it's experimental. So they are starting to find evidence that in some cases, the things like Keytruda and Opdivo do work. But it's only for very specific, narrow situations.
Yeah, in order to figure part of this out, you literally have to get a biopsy of the cancer, hoping that it is the right one. The idea that you could have multiple types in somebody's body is scary, to put it mildly. And literally break it down in order to sequence it genetically.
Yeah, which is what they're doing.
Yep. And that's a different piece than the headline I was talking about earlier. But the fact that this is something that can be done, regardless of how expensive it is, you know, there's probably going to be a lot of F-bombs tonight, guys. I'm sorry, only because you will see why. What we're talking about, genetically sequencing a diseased cell in order to find out its genetic markers, to find out which treatments fit those genetic markers, there is no other way I can describe it. And please forgive me, your virgin ears. It's fucking science fiction to me. We live in a fucking science fiction age in a lot of this stuff. And it's still only going to get better.
Yeah. But in other ways, a lot of the science gets distorted because of headlines that say, we found this cure for blah, blah, blah. And then you find out, oh, it works in a petri dish.
Or in a mice.
And then when you get...
Listen to me. Oh, my God. Did I just actually say that? God damn it. I said in a mice. Good. Yeah. That is, I did not nearly drink enough for this to be to me. No.
But it's also frustrating when you get these people who are like, Big Pharma is hiding the cure for cancer because they want to make money off of sick people. It's like,
I want to slap the shit out of those people.
Cure for cancer. There's no one cancer. Like, get a grip, people.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah, like learn some fucking science before you say
even
shit
breast
like that.
cancer. I mean, you have, receptors on there that's either, human estrogen positive or negative, and that makes a difference.
Yeah, and for anybody that wants to go down that road, go back through our archive and see when we talked about exactly that with somebody that knows a little something about law. I'm sure we'll figure out who the hell it was a little bit later. Anyway, but the headline is true, and Beth has got a good point. Spending money needlessly based on a story such as Astheos? As this. Sorry. I'm assuming that that's what you wrote, and you just kind of typoed it. Sorry, I read it as got it. Yeah, so I was right. Spending money needlessly based on a story such as this, and yeah, this is something that it has unfortunately happened, where and we kind of talked about that, where a treatment is suddenly the big thing, and it's the hammer, and everything looks like a nail. The idea of scooping out pieces of people's brains because it worked nicely to quell people who were violent. It's kind of a black mark on the medical industry, and I'm just glad that such doesn't happen anymore. That's a whole other thing. But it's good to know that the attention does come up from time to time to let people know there is another thing that has shown promise. Now, I would not have nearly the problem that I have with a lot of this shit if the headlines said shows promise, is in testing, is in advanced testing, to at least give the opinion of this is looking good, and here's what they're working on, and we'll see what happens later. But right now, it's a promising prospect.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I'm talking a lot more than I normally do. Can't imagine why.
Okay.
Cancer stories. Me talking a lot about cancer. Imagine that. Oh God, I'm sorry.
It's kind of your show.
It is, but you know full well how I feel about it being, air quotes, my show, as opposed to it's about all of us. But
I know.
Cancer tends to be kind of my wheelhouse.
And in fairness, I have been very lucky that I have not been directly affected by cancer by anyone. So
knock on Formica for that one.
I don't have a whole lot of insight into that. So
yeah, it's okay. And Beth, as far as your typing is concerned, don't worry about it. I read typoes. It may take me one or two runs through to figure it out.
And I even read Beth typo.
Yeah, so there you go. All good. So I think the biggest problem that I've got with these stories, and you guys, I mean, feel free to have out on this one. The sensationalism of a news headline. There are so many times where it's overplayed to one extreme or another, and it's really hard a lot of times to really get the right feel for what the story actually is, because the headline is supposed to be out there to sell, well, newspapers or sell subscriptions or sell downloads or something. And I think that's something that I hate to say it, is kind of a necessary evil. It's hard to remember sometimes that these headlines are out there to sell newspapers or subscriptions or downloads or something. Because without that money coming in, you can't pay the people who are actually writing the stories and investigating the news. And it becomes a whole big vicious cycle and circle because, well, if we don't have the money, we can't pay the people to do the reporting. And if we can't pay the people to do the reporting, we don't have anything to report. So we kind of need for you to buy stuff so that we can pay for the stuff that you're buying. Some people call that the self-licking ice cream cone. Usually that's a reference to a aircraft carrier, but that's an Air Force thing. Brigid would know nothing about that, right? Yeah, the Air Force playing games with the Navy.
I fought the war on tooth decay valiantly.
You know what? All right, hold on a second, because I spoke. No. I've spoken before how in the little town where I live, I'm kind of separated from the town because I'm kind of in between two towns, but that's a whole other thing. The main town, shall we say, where the school is, there were a number of houses that had the little signs, with the two metal pokes on there, that were decrying the evils of fluoridation. And I'm breaking this up because there are groups who put out whatever their little magazine is, whatever the little flyer is with their big headlines for things specifically like fluoridation is poison and illegal and immoral. Read all about it here. And maybe it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be an article. I mean, it doesn't have to be a physical piece. It could be just an online article on a website. You had to have seen, Brigid, you have to have seen so many of these crackpots who are touting all kinds of bullshit, from the homeopaths to the fluoride denialists. What is even the right name for these morons other than morons?
Naive dipshits? I don't know.
I'll go with dipshit. Dipshit's good. I'll go with that. So
yeah, all of these people who are like, yeah, cannabis can cure cancer and eating clean and all that crap.
And detoxifying your body is good for your brain and
all that crap.
But there's always going to be somebody that is looking to sell some woo, some crap, because P.T. Barnum. For those of you that don't remember, P.T. Barnum famously is credited as having said, "There's a sucker born every minute." Yeah, because fluoridation is evil. And back into the cancer thing, there are all of these things that you can eat for a different balance in your diet, and by balance I mean pH balance, in order to make your body more acidic so that cancer can't grow. What have we learned from our medical texts about acidifying the body's internal workings?
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's not advisable.
No, it's even worse than that. It's a hard thing to do by changing your diet.
Kitty.
It's damn near impossible to. Oh yes, there it is.
There's a kitty.
Is he being served?
Yes, she is. Mr. Humphreys is going to bed though.
Very good. And yeah, Beth pretty much got it right, and I didn't even think about that. The obvious one. They're not freaking morons. They're conspiracy theorists. The simple one. I completely blew past that one. Yeah, I can't imagine why.
Hello to tech. Hello, tech.
Meow.
I'm
sorry. Kitty interlude.
Yep. So anyway, so the headlines come out. They overblow whatever the story is, and then we end up seeing the stuff on our own social media, and we have to basically tell people
it's not done yet.
No, it's even worse than that. Yeah, Tech, how many times have you had to basically tell people Avocado Man don't know shit?
I get excited by these headlines. I really do. I remember the one many years ago about the 14-year-old girl who got into college because she was wicked smart, and she was doing biochemistry and all this other biology stuff for the human body, things like that. And she figured out putting these really small quantities of gold into the target site of where a tumor or cancerous mass was would cause the treatments that they had. They didn't mention what treatment it was, just one of the medicinal, one of the chemical treatments where they inject the target the chemicals there, and the chemicals basically destroy the cancer, but they have a tendency to run amok destroying anything else when they go throughout the system. Well, putting the quantity of gold into the site, it attracted the chemicals and caused them to linger around the tumor or cancerous mass for longer periods of times, rather than immediately starting to disperse with the flow of everything else. And I'm thinking to myself, this girl deserves a prize, like, you know, the kind of prize where you get like a international award and ceremony and everything else, because she just took a very highly precious, what human beings consider to be a precious metal, which is actually just something very extremely versatile, and figured out, hey, we can make this treatment more effective. You know, less likely to have nasty side effects, or at least limit how bad the side effects are going to be, because you're limiting the dispersal rate of the chemicals. And I got real excited because the way the title was and how the article started. But the more I read, I was like, yeah, it's going to be a long time before they allow testing in humans. And then I see other things too as well. You know, this, that, and the other thing, tested in mice. Okay, that's a mouse. That's not a human. But it's gives hope. And that's what they're doing. They're doing these headlines where, okay, we've got this little bit of hope here. We've got this little bit of hope here and there, and so on and so forth. Let's blow it up to make it sound it's like right around the corner. And I fall for it every time. My grandmother died of cancer. You know, she went. It was hard on her. I was depressed, but I was also slightly glad that she wasn't suffering anymore. She had one of the nastier ones that just attacked everything in the body. And, you know, it gives me, my hopes soar every time I read a new headline about some kind of cancer treatment. And I even forward you a couple of them.
Yep.
But, you know, that hope and excitement is tempered by the I'm sorry, my brain is trying to brain and my mouth is trying to mouth, but they're kind of conflicting a little bit right now, so bear with me. I have to temper them with reasoning and logic, going, yes, this, whatever they did was promising. But no matter what these things are that they do, it still has to get passed by the FDA or board of doctors. And, you know, there's moral and ethical dilemmas based on how the treatment is used and what it could do. And it's rough. It's a very rough thing for somebody who's in the know. Now imagine you've got all your friends on Facebook who they just jump, they see the headline, it's become their de facto statement. We have the cure for cancer. It's right around the corner. Obviously, pharmaceutical companies don't want this to happen. That's why we don't have it yet. You know, or things like that. It's like, no.
Or the one I love is, they found the cure for cancer decades ago, but they won't tell you.
Oh. I think the funniest one I heard for that was somebody said that if you want to know whether or not they have the cure for cancer, look at Air Jordan.
Pardon?
Air Jordan?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I know. I know
the basketball player.
Yeah.
He had HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not cancer.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was HIV.
I'm sorry, the cure for AIDS. Look at Air Jordan, and you'll see that's proof that the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to have the cures to all the diseases that we have, like AIDS and cancer and so on and so forth.
Well, so which is a load of crap, of course.
Right, because everybody's immune system is different.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been lots of people that have HIV that have now lived for many years on the right medication and, you know, the right
getting medication.
Yeah,
is an issue for him.
Exactly. For him, like more out of anybody to get the right medication and afford exactly what they prefer him to take is a no-brainer. The average person, either they may not have insurance, so they gotta fight with Medicaid, or they have insurance but they gotta fight with their insurance company. And if you remember what Dr. Schloss told us, how these bean counters try to dictate to him, the doctor, what he's allowed to prescribe, which is bullshit. You know,
and that happens in IT too. And it's like, no, you can't buy that new Blade server. We're taking on this much workload, or the system is taking on this much of a workload. If we don't get it, the system isn't going to be able to handle the workload. Well, you've got some duct tape. Figure out how to get it done.
Like,
paper trail. When it crashes, it's your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry to bust in over here, but Beth just gave
that's a good one.
Correction.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Beth is correcting us. It is not.
What did I say?
You had said
not Michael Jordan.
It was Magic. No, not Jordan. Magic Johnson. Sorry.
Right.
I'm not sports savvy. I really am not.
Yeah, I'm not a sports ball kind of gal either. But I like her other point though. The cure for cancer, so Steve Jobs couldn't afford it. Yeah. If anybody was going to get the cure out of somebody, it would have been him. He had the money.
Well, don't forget that guy when he had what was it? I think it was prostate cancer.
Yeah,
that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was a point where he gave up on regular doctors. He gave up on them.
Into the woo-woo.
And he started doing all the woo stuff. And it's like, okay, I understand that you're grasping at straws, but if you're going to give up on medicine itself, you're not going to have the help that medicine can provide. And you're going to pay the price for that. And that's why one of the reasons why whenever I hear somebody say, oh, people shouldn't have vaccinations because they cause autism. I was like, so are you saying that you think that the doctors, that the medicine is bad, that it's full of, it doesn't work? And because, if it doesn't work, maybe you should just pray instead of going to see a doctor. You're going to help everybody out in that. You're going to help the medical community. You're going to help, the oxygen content in the atmosphere. You're going to help the little microbes in the ground that are going to eat your corpse. Little things like that. Think of the worms. Come on. Think of the worms.
By the way, we got that wrong too. It wasn't prostate. It was pancreatic cancer.
Pancreatic. Okay. Thank you, Beth.
Yes. And
look, I'm not afraid to be wrong. I really am not afraid to be wrong. And I'm also not afraid to be called out on it.
Acharya, who was also a Jesus mythicist author, she got cancer and went all woo-woo and died within a year. And Stephanie pointed out Douglas Adams gave up when his cancer was treatable and went to the woo-woo crap. And we don't have him anymore either. Yes. Yeah. Well, too, Acharya was brilliant.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I can understand if somebody was dying of cancer and they exhausted every single thing that medical science had to offer, and medical science said, look, the only thing we can do is give you about another year of no pain, but that's it. You are going to die, and this is all we have to offer. It's like, okay, at that point, try drinking your different teas. Try eating your berries and nut combinations, unless, of course, you're allergic to them. Food allergies in the house.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that shit, but don't stop until you've exhausted all your options that medical science has to offer, because you don't know which ones are going to work. because we are not doctors, and our understanding of the human body and its complications, our understanding of what is available, what works, what doesn't work, why it works the way it does, why it doesn't work the way it does, what we have to do to make something work that wasn't previously working or make something more effective changes it every year, sometimes by the month. So don't give up. Don't.
Yeah, like try different things if you want, but don't stop with the traditional stuff.
We have one life to live.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know that your one life is getting ended shortly, you should be fighting for every single day.
Yeah. And it depends, you know, if it gets to the point where the quality is not there and there's no hope for improvement, that I can completely understand. And I'm
an advocate for death with dignity.
Dignity, yes. There's been a number of stories about that recently because we've only just legalized that in Canada. So those stories are being told now, and well, there was a fellow. I can't remember if he was Canadian or American. No, sorry, he was Australian. In Australia, they don't have it. He was like 94 or something.
Yep.
And he was like, I'm done. I'm just done. And he went over to Switzerland and ended his life there.
The problem is that if I remember correctly, I'm sure Beth will help fact check me on this one. The guy was a professor at some kind of university or college.
Yes.
And for a time there, they wanted him to retire. And so he did, but he came back.
I don't recall
that. Well,
in any case,
they wanted him to go away. I don't know what the reasoning was. I don't know if they want him to retire, or if they want him to quit, or if they want him to whatever. They wanted him bye-bye. He came back, did some stuff voluntarily, I think it was. But eventually they took away his ability to do the thing that he loved the most there at the university. And he claimed that was part of his decision, was the fact that he couldn't do what he loved anymore.
Right.
And that, therefore, his life was basically done.
Well, and at 94, I mean, what are you going to retrain? You know, what are you going to learn? You know, you could conceivably learn something different, but do you have the energy and the motivation and the will to do that?
All I know is if I was at 94 and a bunch of people made me quit doing what I loved, the first thing I would do is I would learn pottery. Because then I would go make ceramic dildos for all of them this
and basically tell them to go fuck themselves.
You made me lose what I love. Here's a box of go fuck yourself.
Yep. There you go.
So a couple of items, by the way, from the chat. Beth, sorry guys, this is something I write about. And Heretic Woman, you're right. Don't be sorry. We like the interaction. It makes us feel warm and squishy inside. Don't be sorry. Any opportunity for us to learn is a good thing.
She gets worried she talks too much. You don't talk enough.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Just type slower. You'll be fine.
Perfectly fine.
And stop stuttering in your text messages.
Cut that out. Now, there's something that...
I love you, Beth.
There's something that Brigid had shared. A webpage that's got some information from ONC Live, which is Oncology Live, I believe is what it is. I didn't double check that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But Brigid, I want you to take a look back over at it, because I'm going to read for you guys the second paragraph from this article. Was second paragraph? Yes, second paragraph from this article, which is about T-cell use. Don't necessarily need to know exactly what that means, guys, but I want you guys to listen to what this paragraph says. I'm going to read it verbatim. It says this, quote, And yes, I will have this linked in the show notes so you guys can take a look at it later. And actually, if somebody could put the link over in the live chat too for the guys anyway, just for the hell of it. It says this, quote, "In durability findings from the Zuma 1 and Transcend studies, 1 and 2, a 3-month cutoff was established for response, with more than 80% of responding patients continuing to stay in remission. Furthermore, findings from a phase 1/2 JCAR 014 trial helped establish serum LDH levels
lymphodepletion.
Thank you. As a signal of complete remission, CR, and a specific cytokine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cytokine. Got that one. Sorry. Signature as a predictor of long-term outcomes. 3 and 4. Now, for those of us that don't know exactly what this means, now I could explain it, but I've got you on for a medical person for a reason. In a nutshell, what did they basically say? In a way that other people can explain it, because it would take me too long to explain it, because I understand about all this stuff.
Basically, during their trials, 80% of their patients responded well to, some of these, in some of these studies. And they're looking for, certain things or benchmarks as to who these things would work, or who these treatments would work on. And they're, it's still a work in progress, but they are coming along with it.
Actually, you probably put that out better than I could. Thank you. I don't know, Jack shit. But so here's the reason why I wanted to kind of put that out there. If some of this, okay, I'm going to use a very disparaging term. Please understand the why I'm putting it this way. If some of this techno garble had been used in the headline, I would say probably 90% of people, the general public, would have no freaking idea what the JCAR 014 trial was. Would have no idea what Zuma 1 was, other than perhaps a drink that is no longer manufactured. You're welcome. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're my people. You know what? Yeah, I think I've warmed it up enough with my hand and try another sip and see what happens. But even not knowing enough about the technical part of this, finding a piece like this could have been used, for instance, to say that whatever this T-cell treatment was, that 80% of responding patients continue to stay in remission. That is a direct quote from that, and that could have been lifted and used, and probably end up used out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is, in this particular paragraph, does it specifically state, Brigid, who the patients are, i.e., their species?
No.
So it is possible, taking just this one paragraph, and could be saying that these are mice, for instance.
I mean, it's not, though. I mean, it indicates patients.
See, now you're leading the bit just a little bit. You pain in my ass. You really are.
It does say patients.
It does.
It assesses patient populations.
And I was gonna bring that out. Yes, they do talk about patients, but a piece of information that's not there is, and admittedly, there's good goddamn reason, the number of patients. Because the number in a study is massively important. And that's something that also can be glossed over. Now, for instance, they've got 80% of responding patients continue to stay in remission. Now, 80% of responding patients, but it doesn't say how many patients started and how many patients were responding, only that of those that responded, 80% stayed in remission over the 3 months, which is admittedly not exactly a long cutoff, but I mean, there are different slices of data that are simply not present in this specific paragraph. And these would be important pieces of data to add into it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would figure that you'd kind of fill in a little bit further about that, because I mean, just.
Well, I'm trying to look and see if there's anything in these studies that indicate how many people.
You're reading ahead so that you could actually better. God, see, you're the responsible one. Thank you. See, I give you. See, I give her shit because there's a lot of times she doesn't chime in on stuff, and it's like pulling teeth on this woman, ironically enough. And there are times when I think that she's just kind of hanging back and kind of being not, and it's just a matter that she's actually reading ahead so that she knows what the hell she's talking about. So, whose fault is that? It's all mine. So, yeah. And Beth is having a good time, but you know what? Yeah. And Beth is also specifically mentioning something that I was also going to bring into this. Beth is saying that would be the, quote, N number, if noted, the sample size. We have to have Michael Marshall on so we can talk about exactly this kind of thing.
Okay, so it's 87 patients. Has relapsed refractory B-cell malignancies.
Okay.
And
so
looking at the serum LDH and the ones that have the one that they're looking for had a better response. So yeah, I'm slow reading.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, not sorry.
No, definitely not sorry. Believe it or not, this beer tastes a little bit better now that it's warmed up a little bit.
Mm.
Well,
I was told that warm beer was gross just in general, but
there are certain things that when you cool them off before consuming them, it significantly changes the flavor. In many cases, actually dampening the true flavor of it.
Mm.
Right. Ice cream, for example, if it's too cold, you can actually lose out on a lot of the flavors.
Well, isn't that because of brain freeze?
No, not so much. It's more of what your taste buds are able to deal with in terms of detecting flavors and everything else.
Okay. I don't know. Now, granted, I've grown up with rednecks who drank beer, but they always were like, "Ew, gross, warm beer." But Beth even says it depends on the beer, so I don't know.
So, it tastes better. I've actually got a little bit of coffee taste finally. So, I told you I was willing to try a little bit, but now I've got that aftertaste again. That's happening again. Okay, that's enough of that. No, seriously, there's a certain point where
no, I believe it. I believe it. I'm just laughing because I can't get past the smell of beer. So
no, it's fine.
This piece is interesting. That they're looking at molecular subtypes to predict adverse effects from, whatever treatment, and that they found 119 genes that were differently expressed between those with like very minimal neurotoxicity versus patients with severe toxicity. That's kind of interesting.
Nifty. And by the way, those of you that are live chatting right now, I put the link over in the chat for you guys to take a quick look at that too. For anybody that wants to I don't know, try to make heads or tails out of it. If you're
I was gonna say, Trippin says it's sad when a beer needs a chaser.
Yeah.
I don't.
It looks like this might be beyond a chaser, Trippin. That
Yeah.
face he's making.
Yeah. I've got that aftertaste is still in there. And it's not a good. Yeah. So yeah, that one's.
Maybe you should go get something to wash it down with.
Yeah, I could go and get some Tang, but that would mean that I'd have to leave you guys, and I don't trust you guys not to break my set. So.
Just hand over control to one of us. We'll be fine.
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna. Well, actually, I'm gonna have to do that soon.
You can hand it over to me. I'll fall asleep, and that way nothing will get turned off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a big negatory on that one. Good try. Anyway, so
you could give it to everybody, and then it just
Wow, yeah, that's free for all. That's gonna work.
It would be administrator games. You thought the Hunger Games were bad.
You can.
Somebody's gonna lose a porn collection.
Nope, I'm not gonna have that happen. All right, so let me kind of back up a second, because dealing with this headlines, like I said, it's kind of tough to know what part of the headline you should be paying attention to and how deep do you really need to go into in order to figure out, where the truth of the whole damn thing is.
Remember, it's never just a tip.
It isn't, and I'm mixing the metaphor at this point to go with the idea of the tip of the iceberg. The study that was supposedly out some couple of years ago that was saying things like red wine has stuff in it that's good for your heart. Dark chocolate can help people lose weight. There was some other thing I can't even remember what the hell it was. Some other thing, but these were headlines that were based off of real scientific papers and completely misrepresenting what was actually said. For instance, yes, there are some chemicals in red wine that can help the muscles of the heart, but you would be blitzed off of your ass every day if you were to drink red wine in order to get the amount that would be necessary to do it, which I don't know about anybody, but I'm pretty sure wine drunk is a really bad drunk.
And I'm thinking your liver might be protesting after a while.
Yeah, therein lies another problem. Dark chocolate has stuff that's good for helping people to lose weight. Yeah, that was kind of not exactly, because it was partially self-reported stuff, which we know full well self-reported anything is kind of hinky at best.
Yeah,
I mean, for those of you that are Catholic, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 2 months since my last confession. No, I haven't had anything happen up until this point. Yeah. Yeah, I know you Catholics and ex-Catholics kind of squirming in your seat right now, going, no, I never did. I never did that. No.
Remind me after the show to tell you about the Catholic I went a few rounds with yesterday.
This ought to be fun. Yep. And again, Beth, you're right on the money on this one. Basically, what the article is showing is that research still continues in battling cancer. They're not jumping on the bandwagon saying that it's a cure, but with further research, the promise may, all capital letters may be there. And that's as it should be. And truth be told, by the way, the headline on the particular article that's linked says ASCO, which I'm not going to pronounce it as ASCO because I don't think that that's how it's supposed to be. ASCO, which is in initialization, I don't know what it means. ASCO studies refine CAR-T, C-A-R-T cell use. What does that all mean? To people who are not in the medical, it doesn't mean a lot. I have some knowledge of T cell use, but that's only because I've only been involved in so much as people forwarded stuff to me and I've read it and it's like, oh, okay, I kind of know what this is all about. Sort of, a little bit. I know what it's supposed to be. Kinda. I'm a little bit more than armchair medical, but I've only just like started to lift up from my lazy boy armchair on this one. Okay, that's about as far as I'll take that one. But Brigid, you've gone through it and you've read through it, and does this article, going by the headline, and admittedly this is for a very targeted select slice of the medical community, does this one at all sound like it's we found the new and here it is and woohoo?
No,
and there's a good goddamn reason why. Because they didn't find the whole brand new and it's time to cheer and woohoo and we've got it. It's tempered with the knowledge that this is another step. That's pretty much the way that most of it reads down, if I'm not mistaken.
And only for a very specific subset of people.
Yeah, it's a slice of a slice of a slice. And for this slice of a slice of a slice, we've got good results. Maybe not really long-term results, but we've got some good results so far. And isn't that the big determining factor? If they can say, if you can put into all of this, ... so far.
Well, it's just amazing to me, that they're able to use immunotherapy at all. And it will only get more refined as they keep doing studies and, look for more antigen receptors and biomarkers and determine what will help, whom. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, like I said earlier, man, it's
and they've got so many new drugs in the pipeline. A lot of them are going to be orphan drugs because, they are helpful for only a very small segment. It depends on what kind of cancer you have, what mutations you have, so much. But I think that's the future, is very specialized, targeted treatment that's individualized. And what they're starting to do studies with now is, actually manipulating your T cells by, taking some of your blood out, tinkering around with them genetically, and inserting them back into your body to let them do their thing. That just blows my mind.
So we've got, we got about a little over 15 minutes. So let me parse this one out for you guys to kind of banter about as kind of a last item, because I think this would be. Let me couch it this way. And Tech, because of the way that this one's running through my head, I think that you're probably going to be the most fascinated one on this idea. So here's the thing, and I'm putting the video on you at this point so I don't miss anything. There's a reason why. Trust me on this one. What if the headline that came down, and the headline was spot on, had gone ahead and said, orphaned drugs can now be synthesized on site inexpensively by radical new 3D printing procedures?
Ooh.
Okay.
The idea that you could literally, you remember how
your medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I fully understand.
Hold
the
just
problem
one
I
second,
would have with it is
hold hold on 1 second. I want to make sure that everybody else has got the right clip on this. Back in the 90s, there was a thing that was called just-in-time processing, delivery. Shit, I forgot what it was called. Delivery. The idea was that you would have almost no product in a storehouse, but once orders were placed, you could get those delivered immediately, door to door, so to speak, to kind of cut down a little bit on storage costs
and overstock.
And overstock. Now, where I'm going with this is the idea of being able to get the old out of patent, out of patent drugs or orphan drugs or that kind of thing, and have hospitals be able to on premises functionally create inexpensively or at least not horrendously expensively these drugs on site as needed, without having to worry about, well, you've got this one type of cancer, but the drug that we've got that we would normally use, we've had it on the shelf for an extra 5 years and we didn't realize it. That's where I'm going with this. So now you've got it all, and Tech, you kind of had I'm assuming you pretty well had the same idea as what I was just describing for everybody to make sure they had it.
Well, it's not just that. Is to have something like that would take a leap in the technology of 3D printing. Right now, the 3D printing, we have a limitation on how small we can make the nozzles and everything else. So if we're making medicine, you're printing at a molecular level, right? Specialized chemistry set of sorts. Mm-hmm. So there would probably be a limitation on what it can make based on maybe it's making liquid capsules, capsules that have a liquid inside of it. So it's mixing together pre-mixed certain stocks that when they react, they become the medicine, so to speak. Okay, that I could kind of see. But if they're, if you're talking Star Trek reconstituting proteins and things like that,
maybe just a little bit.
We'd probably see a lot of other things in the medical industry that would make that headline completely believable. So if I were to see it right now, I'd be looking for the really, in what respect are we printing, how are we printing them? What are we doing here? Because I know we can spray on skin grafts now,
Yep.
With the skin cells turned into stem cells that are sprayed into the area, and then there are all the other all that fun stuff that they do. And then of course the costs would be interesting to try to calculate. There's a lot going on there. It's just I'd have to pull it apart. The headline would make me look. It would make me go, ooh. It would definitely interest me and intrigue me, and I would definitely want to read it because I want to know what's going on. I've seen too many headlines from the medical community, as well as other science communities like space and so on and so forth, where the headlines are like, "Wow, this is a really great headline. Let me read on this." It's like, oh, okay. They just found 2 new solar systems with planets the size of Earth. That was a headline. It was like, well, one of the solar systems has a planet the size of Earth. The other 2 are slightly bigger, but they're so close to their sun, their star, that they can't support life as we know it.
Or water.
Or water, yeah. And
sorry, liquid water.
So, and then I think the other one's in a similar boat. I don't know. I my brain is not braining very well right now. But the point is it's like, okay, they did this great headline, and then they like, I think they should have done something more along the lines of, they found a non-life supporting planet that just so happens to be the size of Earth, and it's this close, and it's exciting. The technique that was used to find it, maybe, if they want to gather some excitement. Because now we know it's common for planets to be of certain sizes, including Earth, that there's more than on one occasion we found a planet similar to Earth-like conditions in their various Goldilocks zones, depending on their star sizes. Like if our sun was a red dwarf, we'd have to be a lot closer to be in a Goldilocks zone. You know, those sorts of things. But your headline for 3D printing medicine, it's like I'd have to read it. I definitely would be like, okay, let's see what's going on here before people start going, we can 3D print all the medications. Probably not.
Fair enough.
But I still think it would be exciting.
It
would definitely be cool. I hope we actually get to that point where we can go in and doc says, hey, hold on, it's going to take us 5 minutes while we process your medication. Rather than saying, oh, we're out of that one. It's real popular. You'd be like, hold on, we got to convert this massive proteins and such into what your medicine is going to become.
Yeah, Heretic Woman. Yeah, I'm guessing you're probably pretty much on the same board. Definitely want to read further into that, but would be kind of cool too.
Well, it would be cool for sure. I mean, it would be. I take 4 medications plus insulin, and it'd be really cool if I could just, walk over to the printer and spit some out instead of having to, oh crap, I'm gonna run out before I can call the pharmacy, and I don't want to have to go without for a day or remember to call it in time and all of this crap. And I'm very lucky too, because my pharmacy is only 2 blocks away and they deliver for free, but I have to remember that, I need a refill, and have money when they come to deliver it and things like that, which, if I didn't plan ahead, that can be a bit of a pain in the neck. So it would be cool. But I don't know if you saw, Beth said that the anti-vaxxers would have a field day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
You could just imagine you're gonna poison yourselves and all this crap, and yeah. And think of all of the crazy shit that woo nutters would be manufacturing for themselves and their kids.
You mean as opposed to what they're doing now?
Well, I was going to say,
the woo nutters would have a big tank of water, and they'd run and they'd rub an aspirin along the side of the tank.
Well, but that's only one
water would have the memory of it.
But that's only one kind of woo. There's other kind, like the people that are putting bleach up their kids' butts. Those kinds of woo nutters. Imagine the things that they could manufacture. Oh, no, thanks. You must be certified woo-free before you can buy this printer.
Yeah. Wait, if we're going to do that, can we have a test licensing exam for people to use computers in the first place?
Oh, God, if Digital Dog Cow couldn't get that, that's never going to happen, man.
No.
I'm sorry, that is a very niche answer that virtually nobody but the two of us understands about. Sorry, there's Tech is shaking, is nodding his head. He's yep.
Hey, I saw a reference on Reddit the other day to a clue by 4, alert loser attitude readjustment tool.
Yep.
And somebody said, "Oh yeah, back when the TSC site was up," and I'm going, "Oh, I feel old."
Man,
it's like I think I may even recognize that name of that Reddit account.
I was looking up something earlier today, and I got a search result of a tripod site.
Okay, we'll talk about John Holmes after. Brigid, you
not that kind of tripod.
Again, a very select group of people are going to understand what I'm just talking about. Kids, don't look that up.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, okay, add that to another things that you're not supposed to look up, like Blue Waffle or Lemon Party.
That's on the Friday show. That's a different thing entirely. So, okay.
It's a Friday show.
Brigid, reminding you that I'm specifically thinking in terms of hospital use. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna kind of trim it back a little bit further even. Emergency rooms, especially. the idea of being able to, in an emergency room situation, something comes up that is necessary, ain't got, because it's a what would be a all right, let me give you a slightly far-fetched on this one. Anti-venom serum. Now that one pushes out the believability factor a lot, because we're talking about liquids. But even keeping that part aside, the idea of being able to on-site in an emergency situation synthesize something that would be life-saving like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the headline where something like that could be, and that's kind of like the underlying thing. It's someone who's dealt in medical, especially knowing full well what can happen in the ER situation. That, I mean, what would for that headline to come around to say about this kind of thing? Where would your thoughts on a headline like that? Where would you end up?
I would have to go read the article and see what they're referencing. I mean, just reading headline probably is not going to give me accurate information. I could jump to all sorts of conclusions based on it. But I think that we will eventually get to a point where we can synthesize things as needed. We're not there yet.
No, not just yet, but
I mean, give us another 20 or 30 years and we probably will be.
Yeah. I mean, there's I'm not really up on medical on where was what's the term that I was looking for? Molecular biology.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, molecular pharmacology. That's probably the better term of what I was looking for. But I can well imagine that there are a number of, I guess you might say, prefabricated compounds that could be used and bolted together to synthesize a maybe a close enough compound in some cases.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's something a little bit far on the esoteric scale. I just kind of thought about that. I mean, wouldn't that be great though, if there were certain compounds that were
adequate substitutes that, yeah. Well, it would be really cool.
Who knows?
And
maybe
probably necessary, because some of the anti-venom items do have a very short shelf life.
Yeah. And trying to get them, as I recall, you basically need to vampirize. It may not be the best word for it, but a horse in order to get the antigens, if I remember correctly.
And it's probably not something that they would keep a large stockpile of, because, I mean, unless they lived in a place where snake bites were frequent, because it's usually just not a thing that happens very often, but it happens.
Yeah.
And if you go to a smaller ER in a rural town, I mean, they may not have anything on hand. They may not have a budget to have things on hand. And that's kind of scary.
But imagine having the opportunity of prefabricated compounds that could be put together and the whole thing fit into a, you know what? Let's think big. A train car. One of those shipping containers, like you'd have on a train or put onto the backside of a tractor trailer, and airdropped somewhere with somebody who knows how to work those systems, solar powered, wind powered, so it's not reliant on anything, to just airdrop into areas of the world where there's no access to medical community of whatsoever. Would that not be an absolutely amazing game changer if something like that could happen?
Yeah. Especially in poorer countries that don't have access to basic supplies. Yeah.
In places where Doctors Without Borders can't. I was about to say can't fly into. No, they can't sail to. Man, I'm completely forgetting what the hell it is that they've got. They've got a big ass boats. Is what they got. I keep forgetting about that. Great group.
You know, but you have some places that can't even afford disposable needles.
Yeah.
Or IV tubing or bed sheets. You know.
Or in some cases, stuff that would be actually considered a medical necessity where otherwise it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Mosquito netting, for instance.
Yes. Definitely.
This has kind of petered out a little bit differently than I was anticipating. So, no. I know full well that, you know, sometimes it happens. Maybe this is one of those times where we kind of, maybe this wasn't the best way of tackling the subject, and that's on me because, you know, as was said, it's my show. Things go good, it's my show. Things go bad, it's still my show. But screw it, I'll keep going because, you know, we try. Let me just really quickly then close this out. We've talked on many occasions about Amazon having stuff that you can buy that's all kinds of cool. The Catholic wafers and single serve wines, for instance, which I still we've talked about this before. I still need to find a way of getting these and getting some way of imprinting on these damn things. One day, make this happen. One day. Watching the guys from Cognitive Dissonance, you know, taking one on their tug and pouring down. One day, that's when I know we'll have made it. Anyway,
you have to make some special glory hole ones for them.
Yeah, we'll punch out the centers on each of them, make them put them on a string, a string of Twizzler. How's that?
Ooh,
Twizzler pulse. That's what we'll do. Anyway, all right, so
I happen to have a whole bag of Twizzler right here.
You know what? You keep those pieces of yeah. All right, whatever. So there was one thing that I remember from my days at my first job, working at a drugstore. Local community drugstore doesn't exist anymore. They closed up, and partly because they couldn't find anybody else to take over, but partly because it was getting to be too dangerous. Getting robbed a couple of times will do that to you. Anyway, there was one thing that I remember was in the place that I never saw them use. Doing compounding is something that you learn how to do in pharmacology. It doesn't happen very often anymore. And there were a handful of times where they compounded creams because they had to. Mm-hmm. And a handful of times I ever saw it done. But one of the things that was still available in the shop were boxes, rectangular boxes of empty gelatin capsules. Most of you at this point don't even remember medicines coming in gelatin capsules, because after the poisoning of the Tylenol market, where 7 people died from poisoned Tylenol in Chicago. 7 people in one city in the US. And suddenly, those pull-apart capsules are no longer on the market. You won't find drugs used that way anymore. But if you needed to compound something specific and fill your own capsules, because that was kind of part of the job, They had them. Now, this stuff is still available. These gelatin capsules are still available on Amazon. As a matter of fact, I just looked them up. Empty gelatin capsules, 0 size, whatever the hell size that is, I have no idea. 1,000 count. $8.
Probably pretty tiny.
It probably are. But I want this to kind of sink in for a second. Anybody could buy these and put whatever they would like on the inside of them and sell them for a while until they got caught out.
Yep.
Could be confectioner sugar. If you're lucky, and they could sell it and say that it was good for what ails you. It'll give you a little bit of pep and a little bit of vim, and you'll take 2 of these an hour before you would normally go to sleep, and it'll help keep you awake for a little while longer, and it doesn't have caffeine. What's in it? It's a private collection of ingredients.
Proprietary formula.
Proprietary formula. All natural.
Yes, like we know that automatically means good, like natural nightshade and
But if it was confectioner's sugar,
yes,
nothing I have said would be a lie.
That's true.
And it would not be damaging to someone, generally speaking, unless somebody's got a really, really weird allergy to the gelatin itself.
Or they're diabetic.
Now, like I said, if somebody was trying to make a buck, they could go ahead and they could peddle these for who only knows how much money. And what would the headline be? What could they get away with? New on the market. New pills to help people stay awake for a couple of extra hours. And so help me, Tech. I'm sincerely hoping you were trying to joke at Mike's.
I was just going to say, I think maybe he could use some.
Anyway.
I'm exhausted.
It's all right.
I'm fading.
I'm gonna make it really quick then. If you don't know what it is that you're reading, you need to just keep reading over and over again. Go a little bit further, find out what the actual information is, and if you can't figure it out on your own, for whatever reason, see if you can ask around. You know about us. We'll be happy to help you take stuff apart. And with that said, like I mentioned, I will see about getting Michael Marshall on to talk with us, because learning how to read through this techie stuff, I learned a lot from his show, Skeptics with a K. And I think maybe that would be a really good conversation to have. Plus, it'll give us an opportunity to piss off somebody else in the UK at 4 a.m. So we'll keep that in mind. Anyway,
there is that.
With that, better that I go ahead and just get us right the hell on out, because I think it's probably a good idea. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us tonight. Hope that you had something worthwhile to think about at this point and found all of what we've had to say a little bit worthwhile with it all. Tech, thanks for sticking it out for as long as you have at this point, and you rest well, man. Good to see you.
Yeah. I'm going to rest well.
No worries, man. If you want to just pop right on out, don't sweat it. But regardless, thanks, man.
Yep.
Okay. Brigid, thank you very much for your time. You have yourself a good morning as well.
You too.
Don't hang me out to dry.
Blog.
Girl.
Okay. They want me to plug my blog. You can go read my blog at brigidfits2112.wordpress.com.
Thank you. And Heretic Woman,
Wow. Yes.
In the meantime of trying to keep the bile down, knowing full well that the voting populace is a bunch of freaking morons, apparently.
Yes, very much so. Let's see now. Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Beyond the Trailer Park, we are going to talk about another contentious thing. We're going to talk about the recent SCOTUS ruling. So we are, it's going to be me, who knows nothing about American law, and a bunch of legal eagles, because Beth went to school for paralegal. So she has way more than a clue than I do. Our newly minted law school graduate, who will be writing the bar soon, Miss Morgan. And we are also going to be joined by our friend Deanna Holmes, who was an attorney out of Arizona, and Sharon Frankel, who is Andrew Torres's law partner in his firm. She's going to join us and discuss the whole mess that is the Masterpiece Bakery ruling.
That's I can well imagine that's gonna start making things a little contentious in the office now. Yeah, so they got you this time, huh? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I happen to have met Sharon when I was in Milwaukee and hung out with her most of the weekend. So, yeah, and you know, we're kind of more of a chick show, so I wanted to make it a ladies' affair. So there we go.
Makes sense.
We just happen to be able to, because I mean, come on, everybody thinks of a lawyer as a dude. So no, we have lady lawyers. So there we go. And one paralegal-ish. Almost paralegal. I think she graduated. By the time she graduated, Beth wasn't interested in it anymore. She found out she likes the law, but when she found out, you know, what her day-to-day grind would be, she was like, ew, and went on and did something else. Which is kind of like me, because I went to university to be a social worker, and then I found out what that was supposed to be like. I was like, ew, and went into antiques for 12 years. Oh, hello, Jack. Bullshit. Well, you're too late. The bullshit's about to roll up the carpet and sign off for the night, so you don't have to listen. It's all right. But anyway, so that's beyondthetrailerpark.com. You can catch that tomorrow night at Monday, or tomorrow night. Not tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow night now, because it's after 2:00. So Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And of course, you can also find me for Quranic, where I read the Quran, so you don't have to. And I promise I'll do another one soon. Just motivation, people. But also Tuesday, I am appearing on a new show. Well, I don't think it's actually new, but new to me. Someone else in my news feed actually was on this podcast and said, hey, I was on the show. Do you want to listen to my episode? Blah, blah, blah. And I enjoyed it. And turns out that they had a form on their website where you could say, hey, I want to be on your show. So I did, and now I will be. So it's called Your Atheist Pastor. So this should be interesting. It's youratheistpastor.org. It is pre-recorded, so I'm not sure when he'll be posting it, but yeah, I'm gonna do that interview on Tuesday. So I'll keep folks posted on when it'll come out. So kind of looking forward to that. Somebody new I have not met yet. So there we go. By the name of Luke the Atheist Pastor. I kind of like that. Reminds me of Jerry DeWitt.
Very cool.
If you've ever met Jerry is very much an atheist, but he will be a preacher for the rest of his life. That's just Jerry.
Fair enough.
Anyway, and the perfect hair, you know, he's he of the perfect hair, but yeah, so there's that.
All right. So everybody, thank you very much for being with us. If you'd like to, of course, catch up on all the past episodes, or if you'd like to get the audio version, again, thank you very much for all the work that you put in, Dalan. You can take a swing over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. The left side of the screen, you will see the link over there for the podcast link. Please click on the little red symbol. It's just the way that it is. WordPress, what are you going to do? For all of our contact information, just swing over there, of course, and we'd be more than happy to speak with you guys. Email us over. If you'd like to send a voicemail message, of course, 859-HCTV-554, 859-428-8554. And, of course, for those of you that want to put in a little bit of money, over at patreon.com/HCTV. Last item. There are going to be there will be at least one more show this upcoming weeks where I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be down in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, for Anthrocon. So just be aware that one of the few scheduled times a year I'm not going to be around. Somebody's going to be running the show instead in my place, which is going to be all fine. While I'm down there, I will be seeing about having folks join us for Breakfast with Fred. If you're not sure about that one, just find the hashtag Breakfast with Fred, all one word, and you will find we kind of get some folks together on Saturday morning to go over to the statue of Fred Rogers and have breakfast, just like it says on the tin. And for those of you that might be looking to help out with me with my revenge piece, yes, I'm back to reminding myself to wear the damn hat for the ride for Roswell. It's coming up. If you would like to help donate for the cancer research fundraiser for the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, please check the show notes and you will see the link over there for my group, End of Cycle for Sarcoma. We'd really love to have you guys help out. We have over $500 USD that's been donated through the folks in Second Life. If you'd like to help out a little bit, please click through, take a swing through. Any little bit helps. And we will see you. In the meantime, we got to get out of here because, well, it's a little bit on the late side. You will take good care of yourselves. And for those of you that joined us over live chat, Beth, Trippin, Stephanie, even Jack. You know what? Jack, you're off the hook tonight. Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. And did I get everybody? I think I pretty well got everybody.
Stephanie, Beth, I think that was everybody.
It's okay. Thank you. And for all of you that have been listening, hope that you take good care of yourselves, and thank you very kindly as always. So until the next time we get together, everyone, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. My lady, I still can't believe 13 years on, I am still in love. Not today, Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.